All right, Mr. D, ants and fire ants. We don't want them to ruin our picnics.
They can do it.
They can do it.
They can do it quickly. Well, you know, fire ants pretty much everywhere in our area. Still, the old standby method on fire ant control is using the Texas two-step.
Yeah.
And that's simply putting a bait out, and make sure, if you've got a bait left over from last year, you need to check and make sure that the ants will feed on that bait. And the way to do that is just put some of it down beside a fire ant mound and sit there and watch it and see if they'll go out and start feeding on it. Because most of the baits, the base is a milk base or some kind of oil base or something like that, and it can go bad, it can get rancid, and it might get to the point where it doesn't attract the fire ants. So the baits need to be fresh enough that they will attract the fire ants. And you need to put the bait out when the ants are actively foraging. So, you know, in the afternoon, and you know, there's no need to put it out right before sundown because they're not going to be actively foraging, you know, at night.
How far from the mound do you put the bait down? That's usually the question that we get.
I definitely wouldn't put it on the mound. Those entrance and exit holes for the fire ants are out 2 or 3 feet away from the mound. So, you know, if you've got a lot of fire ants, I just broadcast it. Just scatter it around your yard. They're going to go to it. They're going to find it. And what you're hoping that they will do, you know, the fire ant can't eat that bait. That worker's not going to eat that bait. He has a sieve, and he can't swallow solid food. The worker I say he, it's a she. She can't swallow that solid food. So she will take it to a 4th or 5th instar larvae is the only stage of the fire ant that can eat solid food. That larvae will eat that food, and then it will regurgitate it into a pouch, a little pouch, turn it into a liquid basically, and then the worker fire ants will take that liquid, they will feed off that liquid, they will take that liquid to the queen, and so this is a process that will take 8 to 10 weeks to kill the queen.
Wow.
And after that happens, then go out there, well, 8 to 10 weeks to kill the colony because the worker fire ants can live 9 or 10 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks after you put the bait out, put a contact kill. Go out there with a contact insecticide and spray. And the reason you're doing that is hopefully within that 2 or 3 weeks you've gotten the queen, taken the queen out. The workers live, like I said, 8 or 9, 10 weeks. And if you kill the queen, you'll still have workers running around there for weeks. And so do the contact killer after that. So that's the Texas two-step method. And the reason it's called the Texas two-step has nothing to do with the dance. It was developed by Texas A&M University. They developed that system. But there are a bunch of baits. I've got a list of probably 10 or 15 baits here that are recommended. And then on the contact killers, there are a lot of contact killers out there that have imported fire ants on the label. Just follow the label directions.
Yeah, let's name some of those baits.
Okay, the baits we've got Extinguish, Distance, Award 2, PT Ascend, Spectricide, Fire Ant Killer, plus Preventer Bait, Advion Fire Ant Bait, Garden Tech Over and Out, Amdro Fire Ant Bait, Siesta, Extinguish Plus, and then the Spinosad baits such as Fertilome and Southern Ag Payback. And those are some examples of baits that are out there that will work. And then the contact killers are the ones with pyrethrins, synthetic pyrethroids, several of those that will, bifenthrin and esfenvalerate, and all of those that will do the job for you.
Make sure they read the label on that too, right?
Make sure you read the label.
When you're using the contact, right, you're going to pour that right on the mound itself, right?
The drenches the drenches you pour right on the mound.
Right on the mound.
And that's a good way to do it. You know, mix it in a 5-gallon bucket according to the label directions. That way you don't even have to use a sprayer.
That's right.
You can just drench the mound because the workers always return to the mound. But keep in mind, if you do a real good job of controlling fire ants, when that queen does her mating flight, she looks for an area that doesn't have fire ants. She doesn't like a lot of competition. And she will land in a fire ant-free area and create a new mound. So it's not something that you can do once and think that you're finished with. It's kind of an ongoing deal. You know you're going to have a picnic in August.
Yep.
Booker.
I don't have one.
You know, I'd go out there. You know,
right
start about 3 or 4 weeks before that, and hopefully you'll be free during that picnic.
Because that way you see 'em a lot of time out in the field pasture and park and like that, where the people mow and they hit the mound, they kind of spread out.
Right.
And that's how you see them in field pasture.
Okay.
Most of these baits that I mentioned are also good for other ants.
Right.
They'll take out other ants that are out there, and so if you have other ants that are creating problems for you, I would go with the baits.
Okay.
And you don't have to go with the two-step method on the other ants. Just the baits will take the colony out.
You probably will be doing it takes a two-step if you get bitten by some of these ants. I'm sure at some point.
They will make you do it.
They'll make you do a jig. There's no doubt about that. Let me ask you this, because we get this question a lot. So you see some fire ant mounds that are real tall and some that are real, low to the ground. Why is that?
Well, the purpose of that fire ant mound is to pretty much regulate the temperature and humidity for the brood. And during conditions that are wet and cool, those mounds will usually be higher to try to get the brood or the young larvae out of the real damp conditions. You're going to see this hot weather and dry weather that we're having, the mounds are going to almost disappear because they're going deep in order to get the cooler, more moist conditions.
How deep? How deep you think?
6, 8 inches, 10 inches, you can find them.
Wow.
Digging around, you can find
they'll
them.
find you.
They're not that deep, but they don't have to have them up above the soil line to keep them dry.
Wow.
And I say keep them dry, but they do require some moisture. So when it gets real dry, they're going down. I mean, they like a little humid, but they don't like it too wet. They don't like it too dry. Kind of like me and you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it's humidity. How about that? That's smart. Wow.
Pretty sharp critters to be so small. And they pack a punch.
They might need to go check our park out before we have our picnic. Make sure we don't have no fires out there. But you have kids out there playing around. They don't know them. They just might run into them and get into them before you know it.
Right. And that's where you see most of the problems when you have people that aren't familiar with fire ants. I know the first time my daughter found fire ants, I lived in an area when we didn't have them, and we were in an area that had them, and she's standing on a mound going, what are all these little things? Because fire ants take a solemn oath when they're small. Baby fire ants take a solemn oath. They will not sting until everybody's ready.
Oh my goodness.
So they'll cover you up and then
one
hit
time
you all at once.
They hit me right now.
Fortunately, we got them off my daughter before they got to that point. So if you don't know what you're doing, you're not used to them.
Wow.
Then you can get in trouble. But people, a large percent of the population of the U.S. lives in areas that are infested with the fire ants, and they survive nicely.
Wow. So do they have an automatic? Is it one sting? Or?
They've got an automatic.
They're
not like a honeybee. They can hit you. They have an automatic. Bam, bam, bam. Keep stinging.
All right. Thanks for the information about those fire ants.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh boy. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. To find out more information on this topic, just click on the familyplotgarden.com link in the description.